can draw. I can draw. I can paint in watercolor. Hey guys, this is Caleb King of thecalebking.com. You're here at C2E2, and I just want you to say, hey, subscribe to Raze Chaos.
And welcome back, everybody. My name is Raze Chaos, and it is Wednesday. You know what Wednesday is. Wednesday is New Comic Book Day, and Raze has got a new comic book. Raze got a new comic book cover. Raze always has new comics. All there is to it. But yes, this is a big one right here. This is, I just showed off a later issue of the return of the Avengers with the return of Captain America, but this we're bringing back the original grouping of the Avengers. You had Thor, Ant-Man, Hulk, and Iron Man, and also Wasp. And I say it like that because since Wasp was female, she's the only founding member that doesn't have their name on the top, because she didn't really have. I mean, she was always a side character to Ant-Man, even though she eventually grew, and in a lot of ways she's become more popular than Ant-Man or Hank Pym, whatever you want to call him. Goliath, Giant Man, he's done a lot. But yeah, Wasp just kind of got the little, she didn't get top billing on this one. She didn't even get billing on this one, but yes, this is the first appearance of the Avengers. They brought Journey into Mystery, Tales to Astonish, all the comics together with their biggest names to get them together, and yeah, this is this is where a lot of it began, but also kind of broke down at the same time, because obviously the Hulk did not want to stay on the Avengers. The whole idea of the Avengers getting together was that Loki manipulates the Hulk. He doesn't really mean it, he basically creates some mischief, because he is the god of mischief, creates some mischief to make it look like the Hulk is causing some trouble. And that brings the rest of the Avengers in the same direction. And eventually they kind of get together, and then they realize that's not the case. Loki's messing with us. So they group together and they go after Loki, and almost immediately the Hulk's just like, okay, we're done with this guy, I'm going. And yeah, he was gone by the second issue. I mean, I think he only shows up in the first couple of pages of the Avengers #2. But yeah, the Hulk is done. He really doesn't want to be an Avenger. Which is really funny, because, a couple issues later, when they bring Captain America in, they all kind of have the same attitude, and eventually you've got a completely different cast going on there. But I'll talk about that another time. This is them. There's a lot of bickering between the Hulk and the other Avengers, and already the Wasp is, even though she's not listed on the cover, she is very, very clearly a strong presence. And eventually she actually becomes the leader of the Avengers, but that's well down the road. But yeah, this is where it all began. I mean, it was a really to read that first issue, it didn't look like it was going to last, because they didn't look like they could get along, and they did have the common goal, and it kept some of them together. And of course, people like Ant-Man and Wasp were happy to have some heavy hitters around them, because even if you didn't have that, you still had Thor and Iron Man to help back things up after the Hulk left. So yeah, it was really cool. It was a start. I don't want to say it was the beginning of the Marvel age, because honestly, that kind of goes with the Fantastic Four, which We need some Fantastic Four covers. Seriously. Because that was what really brought the Marvel Universe to life, was actually the Fantastic Four book. I mean, you had Spider-Man. He was there. He was really kind of the first. He was the flagship and everything. You brought the Fantastic Four in, and you did some world building there because they expanded more. And then you got the biggest characters that were already there, kind of grouped them together and put them all in one book. And yeah, it was pretty much the Fantastic Four, the changing of the guard, and the Avengers that really made the Marvel Universe and helped flesh it out. Because Spider-Man was just one guy, and he'd fight a bad guy. And yeah, there was only so much expansion you could get from there. But when you got these guys together and got them in there and gave them bigger villains to fight, yeah, that's really how it worked. There's a really fun, Marvel did a really fun issue 1.5 that they did, I want to say early 2000s, late 90s, that they actually had an issue that fit between Avengers #1 and #2, where they basically got to rehash the Hulk's distrust from everybody, but it actually put Doctor Doom as a villain in that, which I mean, it was really kind of a fun thing, but like it was made to fit in between there. So if you didn't read that between issue 1 and 2, you wouldn't have missed anything, and it didn't really add much except the idea of the Avengers having to deal with Doctor Doom a little bit earlier than they actually do in the comic. But yeah, this is a big flagship issue. This is definitely a must-have. This is exactly what Raze loves in these covers, and only at Target, which I don't understand why they get so many exclusives. And I don't know why Marvel's pulling ahead on doing these things. It's like, come on, DC. You've got some great covers. And, you know, I love you. I'm always doing DC videos. I want some DC covers. I want more of them. You don't give me nearly enough. And then when you do, you don't always do them right. But you did in this case. And you can check all those out because I include this on a playlist with all the comic book covers. You can see every one that I've gotten, which Raze likes to collect them all except for the Star Wars. And you just have to see that video to understand why. But give me a subscribe if you've enjoyed this, and let me know in the comments what you think of the first issue of the Avengers, whether you've read it, whether you've read reprints. I mean, that's kind of how I did it. I got the reprints of these, followed the original storyline that the Avengers took, the path to get through them, which, to be all honest, I always found like a lot of the early Marvel comics, when they first got together, they really kind of felt repetitive because they'd always kind of start one way and then they'd kind of end, and the characters hadn't really changed that much. So by the time you got to the next issue, it started and repeated, and it was just like, I don't like you. Oh, well, maybe you're okay. And then next issue, I don't like you. I still don't like you. It was funny. But you just got to read it to enjoy the back and forth in those comics. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here now, and never forget, the life is full of odd moments, and you never know when you're going to be defined.